So good morning, lovelies. Here we sit in the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, CLIA 2, waiting for our flight back to Denpasar, Bali for the official leg 2 of our trip, a month in the town of Ubud on the island of Bali. What you're going to see here is a different kind of trip report than you're used to seeing on my vlogs. We decided to separate a little bit yesterday on our last full day in Kuala Lumpur, and what I did was went down to the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Malacca. You'll never tire of me saying UNESCO World Heritage. The girls stayed in Kuala Lumpur, and so what I did is I filmed a whole bunch of clips as I went through my day yesterday, and this video is an attempt to put it all together to form some coherent story or diary of my day in Malacca. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers. So I've got in my hot little hands a two-way return ticket to the UNESCO World Heritage Town of Malacca. Malacca is about 2 hours by bus to the south of Kuala Lumpur, and I'm going to do a bit of a day trip there to spend 4 hours wandering the old historic town site. The girls are going to stick around Kuala Lumpur and knock off a few sites that we haven't seen yet in the city. I'm going to take my 2-hour bus ride, go explore for 4 hours, take another 2-hour bus ride back home, and then meet the girls back for supper in some Sky Palace kind of patio, hopefully with the sunset. So there we go, off to Malacca. Now we're good? Terima kasih. On trips like this, Netflix is your friend. So I've arrived at Malacca, just under a 2-hour bus ride, and it is exactly 20 minutes to 12 o'clock. I've got 4 hours to do this little town properly, which is, of course, not nearly enough, but first things first, after 2 hours and some coffee. Well, hello my lovelies, here we are. This is the first stop in my whirlwind visit to the town of Malacca. First stop is St. Peter's Church. This was founded by the Portuguese 500 years ago or something. I don't have the dates, but they were the first to visit the area and so kindly offered to civilize the locals. So this is an old church apparently. What's a trip to St. Peter's Church without a stop in at good old St. Pete's gift shop? So I'm on my way to Afamosa, which is said to be the oldest surviving European structure in all of Asia. It was the Portuguese fort built in around the 1640s, somewhere around there. There's not much of it remaining, but there's the main gate, which is down at the end of this street somewhere. So I'm just walking about a kilometer away from the St. Peter's Church, and I'm not seeing much of the old historic town site yet. But you know what? A change is good as a rest, right? So this is all brand new and interesting to me. I just want to record everything. Just the experience of walking the streets is something I'm sure I'll forget as soon as I get home. I want to go over here. I think it's part of the river system. Oh, this is interesting. I'm walking around filming lots because I don't want to forget anything, but now I'm forgetting to take the time to actually take some still photos, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm staring at another church here, the Church of St. Francis Xavier, S of X, built in 1849. So like I said, not much of the fort exists here, but they've preserved some of the remnants here of Afamosa, the Portuguese fort. It's kind of amazing to me that some of this stuff is so old, but has only recently been excavated and uncovered. But I guess it really shouldn't, because there's tons of stuff in Rome that's continually being discovered because they're digging down and excavating and redeveloping. But this was only uncovered 5 years ago. And they chose to preserve it, which is pretty cool. So just on a whim, as such things happen, I spied a neat little row of buildings and what I surmised was a little bit of a river, and I got off the main road, and here, and this is peaceful and calm, and I can see guest houses here and little cafes. This is really, really pretty. This is worth coming to visit. So what self-respecting day tripper doesn't come to a town without a plan? I got a plan. I'm heading from St. Peter's Church to La Famosa, but in between I discover a whole bunch of stuff here, including this wonderful, wonderful river walk and another church that's just a little bit younger than St. Peter's. I'm going to try to cross here without getting too run over. I'm going to go this way, and there we go. Thank you. This is Christchurch, Malacca, which dates from 1753, so says the sign. Beneath this stone is interred with her stillborn infant the remains of Mrs. Mary Betty, who departed this life September 20th, 1800, aged 30 years. Her disconsolate husband has caused this stone to be placed here as a small mark of his regard for an amiable and affectionate wife. The Catholic churches are probably some of the most open institutions. I can't remember how much we paid to get into Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia. The Blue Mosque, I think you were able to get into free in Istanbul. But this is, it's not in the same level of grandeur, of course, but the dichotomies of seeing the Catholic Church in far-flung, faraway places is sometimes, oftentimes, most of the time, quite interesting. Malacca is very heavily advertised as a day trip from Kuala Lumpur, and I could have done that, but I'm doing this on the cheap. So far I've spent about 20 ringgit on taxi, well 30 ringgit on taxi and 20 ringgit for a round trip ticket. And this is advertised as going for, I think, about 200 ringgit for the full day tour. So I'm happy, you know what? I'm happy if I don't have to subject myself to this ever.
Okay.
I'll leave that for the tourists, because that's not what I am. All right. Oh my goodness. Just take a look. So here is the third or fourth detour. Remember, I'm going from St. Peter's to Famosa. Got sidetracked by one or two churches and a river walk. And then I saw this. This is the status. It's going to cost me 10 ringgit to get in here. And I wonder if I oughtn't to do that. So let me find a seat and investigate the matter. All right. Built in 1650. Known for its red exterior and clock house. Home to the History and Ethnography Museum, which makes it its premier museum, or so says Wikipedia. Wait a second, time out. I know what you're thinking. There's Teddy being a git, sitting in the middle of the stairs when people are walking around me, but no. You see over there? Those are stairs. They lead to the exact same place. Any of those people could have used those stairs instead of the ones I'm sitting on and filming on. Anyways, back to regularly scheduled programming. I'm gonna move on to Famosa. Huh?
Yeah, you can try the shop. Yeah.
I'm being asked if I would like to ride in this monstrosity. I don't think they understand the word monstrosity. No, thank you. I'm okay. Oh, yeah. How does one live with oneself driving that? Oh, that is so terribly judgy. I'm so sorry. But the music just kills it. Just following the tourist train, trying to avoid further assault to my eyes and senses. Everyone seems to be headed down here, but I'm going to take a detour. Here's some more ruined foundation works for the Portuguese fortress. See if we can find out a little bit of history of this place. So these are the remains of Fort Hendrik, which were built upon the remains of the previous Portuguese fort, which themselves were built on the remains of a Malaysian fort from even before. And these were uncovered in 2006. So even here, this kind of history has only been exposed and presented to the public for about 13 or 14 years. I shall now attempt to make a ray face. How's that, Ray? Does that work? Honest to God, UNESCO should ban these f***ers. It is the most embarrassing thing I've seen since Hoi An in Vietnam. How anyone could think that that is cute or endearing at all is beyond me. So that was part one of my travelogue to the city of Malacca. If I'd have kept it in one long part, it'd be 35 minutes. I decided to break it up a little bit and keep them a little bit shorter and sweeter. So please stay tuned for episode 2 coming up. I promise not to embarrass those pedicab taxi drivers too much. Stay tuned. Cheers.